Hi everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel. I am so happy you're here. Today I am sharing a couple of cards with brand new products from the Hero Arts December 2022 My Monthly Hero release. Each month I share cards with the add-ons only. For main kit inspiration, please visit the Hero Arts blog. I'm going to create some out of this world birthday themed kind of galaxy background cards, and the backgrounds really are the stars of the show for these particular designs. I'm going to start by inking up a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch panel of Neenah 110-pound weight cardstock with several Distress Oxide colors. For my first background, I'm going to use KITSCH Flamingo, Wild Honey, Villainous Potion, and Black Soot. So probably not a color combination you would normally think of, but building with these lighter colors in the center, even though a lot of it gets covered up with the darker colors, allows for this really beautiful glow underneath. Now it looks like a huge hot mess when you start, but I promise if you stick with it, it looks absolutely incredible. I want these kind of galaxy looking backgrounds, and I find that this kind of inking generally provides just the best results. So I'm going to keep going around the edges. I am using a post-it note to hopefully keep my fingers out of the ink a little bit, although I don't think that the Neenah leaves fingerprints quite as much as some other cardstocks do. And the edges of this panel will get covered up. Now it still looks like a terrible hot mess, but we are going to grab the black soot and we're going to ink around the edges. And I think I misplaced my black Distress Oxide blending brush. I finally found one. And we're just going to load it up. And I have talked about this quite a bit with all kinds of backgrounds, not Galaxy in particular, but any background. Black soot is what I call kind of the magic that just gives you that moody feeling. Whether you want it to be kind of a Halloween scene or even a kind of dirty, darkish fall scene, even Christmas, black soot is probably one of my all-time favorites just for the fact that it really creates a moody look with whatever you add it with. Now, once I have all of my inking done, I'm going to spritz this with water from my Distress sprayer, which was behaving badly, but that's okay because we are left with awesome droplets, both little and big, which adds to that galaxy feel. I'm just going to wipe away some of that ink on my table. Now, there were some imperfections in my background that I noticed that happened when I dabbed it with my microfiber cloth. I did not worry about it in this particular card because, again, we're going to place a panel over the top, and I'm also going to be stenciling and splattering, and I think we can disguise some of those imperfections. When at all possible, I really do try to save anything that I make, because usually there's a way to hide it or a way around it. Next, for the second background, we're going to go with more of a blue feel instead of purple, and we're going to add Wild Honey, which we did use on the first background, but this time we're going to use Mermaid Lagoon, Uncharted Mariner, and then of course Black Soot. So two of the colors are the same, we're just mixing or changing up two of the other colors. And again, all of the lighter inking underneath provides us with a great base that will shine through. You'll see it'll shine through some of the texture paste, and it will shine through some of the lighter areas when we do our distress spraying. So even though the majority of it is very light and we don't see it very dark like you normally would, that undertone, that color that kind of comes up from underneath is really where the magic is for these galaxy cards. Black soot around the edges. I kind of gave up on my post-it note. It wasn't working that great anyway. I need a bigger post-it note and I couldn't find them. I don't know where I put them. So we're just going to go around the edges again. And I love kind of that blue and yellow made the green glow there, which is kind of fun. we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to spritz this with water from a distress sprayer. We're going to blot it dry. My distress sprayer behaved a little bit better. I don't know what I had done wrong with the first one. And then we are going to clean up our work surface, grab a splatter box, grab some white gouache, and we are going to go ahead and splatter these backgrounds with some white to add even more stars. Now I did this first. I'm going to talk a little bit about something that didn't go as planned because those things do happen. I knew I wanted to use the stencils from this release, the Star Cluster and the Nebula Cluster stencil, one for each background. I wanted to show some different techniques, but with some of the same product. Or not different techniques, different backgrounds with some of the same products as well as a couple of different ones. And I thought I was going to use white pigment ink, and I actually ended up not using, well, I did use it and I didn't like it. It didn't show up like I liked. So then I went ahead and did the paste. I still think splattering it first was probably the best. And again, that was white gouache. Here I'm showing some black glitter Hero Arts cardstock that I have die cut with the, I think this is the space, it's the space window die. And I ended up doing both backgrounds with this one. I really thought that I would use the moon phases for one, but it just didn't cut a big enough opening to showcase the background. That's the honest truth right there. I had done all this work for the backgrounds and I looked at that moon phases window and I was like, yeah, that's a no. I'll have to use that for another card because I love the die, but with the backgrounds that I'm creating here, I wanted it to be focused in. So I like this frame, but I needed this frame because it's much bigger than the other one. I hope that makes sense, or this window. I am using my window frame, and then I've got some acetate here back behind. And a lot of times I do use Hero Arts acetate because I really like it. It is my favorite to die cut, it or Lawn Fawn. But I didn't have to die cut it this time, and I'm out of my favorite acetate. But Simon Says Stamp has some new acetate, and I really, really like this. I've not tried die cutting it yet, but trimming it down was a breeze, and I placed it back behind this glitter frame, and I'm so sorry my head is in the way. I am just lining up my greetings. I did not get it lined up very good the first time, so I need to go back and reline that up. But these greetings are from the Orbit stamp set. This is my favorite stamp set from the release. I love the fonts. I thought it was really, really cute. I like how it has all of the planets orbiting, and it's just a tiny little stamp set, but the fonts really got me. They're my favorite kind of font. I am stamping all of this on the acetate window with white Stazon ink. You guys know how much I love white Stazon ink. We are not creating shakers today. You could, but I am not creating shakers, but instead I want to pop it up so that that greeting is on the clear window, like you're looking through into this galaxy. So here's kind of where I was talking about the stenciling. I am going to grab the Make Art station. I did just get this. I'm kind of switching out from the magnetic back platform I was using prior. So far, I absolutely love this one. I was not loving my other one quite as much. So I did get this one from Ranger, and I really, really like it. I am going to put some white pigment ink on an acrylic block. I am going to talk about that really quick. If you are inking over something that you have used a distress ink or a reactive ink, it's probably going to pick up the color on your blending brush, and you don't want to cross-contaminate your white pigment ink pad. Now, I left this in the video instead of cutting it out because I didn't throw my background away. And I want to show you how you can start with a plan, and if it doesn't work out, you can make the shift. And this was not my original plan. I had planned on using the Hero hero paste the whole time. And when I got to this point, I was like, let's use white pigment ink instead. I wish I had just stuck with my original plan, but you know, sometimes that doesn't happen. This one is not too bad. I probably could have lived with this background. I do think it shows up. I think it's pretty faint. I will tell you that I like the pearl paste, the white pearl paste, much better. But the stars on this background don't show up at all. And I decided while I was doing one, I was just going to do the other. Stencils are very easy to line back up. If you've missed a spot, or you want to ink something different, you know, whatever the case may be. And because of that, I just decided I was going to do the white paste on both. But I did want to show you that the stars just did not show up for me. I've done this technique before. I will link to another video where I did a white pigment ink stenciling technique over distress inking background. It's there. It would be okay. It just wasn't quite what I was looking for. So I'm going to actually move that aside. Here is the pearl paste. I did choose pearl over glitter. Glitter would not show up, and I didn't choose white. Now, something to keep in mind with a distress ink background like this, and I'm doing such a thin layer, it is going to go on white. When I pull the stencil away, you're going to see white. When it dries, it is going to pick up some of the colors of the background. And that's really what I wanted. I want the colors of the background to come. I don't want it to be this stark white. So I was very happy with the finished result. I thought clear would be a little too clear. That's why I did. So white or pearl, either one would work really well, I guess is what I should say. Because they would be, especially, I can't talk, especially with a light coat of the paste, it should pick up the color of the background and it'll leave you with texture and a little bit of white, but it will pick up some of the color. And I'm using, again, the star cluster was on the purple background or the more purple background, and the nebula cluster is on the bluish background. And I didn't go all the way to the edges. Some of that's getting covered up, so I didn't really worry about it too much. Okay, so now I am going to set those aside to dry. I probably should have done that right away, but I'm going to take my Hero Arts compact cutter and I am going to die cut the Space Rocket fancy die. I love this. You guys know how much I love the fancy dies from Hero Arts. We're going to use this on both cards. So the cards are very much the same. I switched up the greetings. They're both birthday cards. I switched up switched up the stencils and the colors, but they both feature the same fancy window. They both feature the rocket. So they're very similar. I love mass producing cards. If I have everything out, going ahead and just, you know, making several or at least a couple at one time. That color is not going to work. I'm going to move that away. So I'm doing a tone on tone. Both rockets are going to be different colors. This one is a blue-green color. I will list the marker colors in the description below. Very easy coloring. I'm not really using, like I said, tons of colors or anything like that. I want the background to still be the star of the show, but the rocket to just reinforce the feel and the scene of the card. So I tried to choose colors that I felt like would complement, I think I want to say, the background. I did start with these blue-green colors. I'm going to pull in a blue color. I think it's going to help a little bit. It was a little too light, blended into the background a little too much. The darker shading will elevate it enough that it just gives it a little bit more definition. I'm just trying to follow the lines of the die. Very quick coloring. I'm working on a glass mat. That way I can just take a little rubbing alcohol and quickly clean up my mat when I'm finished, or my glass mat when I'm finished. And I will tell you, if you're going to color something light after you've colored something dark on a glass mat, I would recommend cleaning your mat, because if you touch your mat with the tip of your marker, say the yellows, which is what happened and what I did, the yellow will pick up some of the color from the matte and transfer it to your project. I'm going to hold that over top. I'm liking how it looks, but that was where I decided I needed something a little darker shading. So here's that darker blue B99 marker. And it really does add better definition. I like it. Don't be afraid to kind of change your mind, make adjustments as needed to make your card work for you. These colors are really, really pretty together. I'm not sure if I've ever used them together or not, but I like it. I'm going to go over the entire thing with my lightest marker when I'm done to kind of just clean up any of those harsh edges, blend it all out nicely. I'm going to grab my frame again. I've not attached anything yet, and I made a huge blunder here. I picked up some paste. I did take a little rubbing alcohol. I cleaned the back of my acetate. I fixed my stenciling. I was super mad at myself, so all is well, but I did want to mention that I did that. I did not have to redo my background. I like showing you guys the things I do, the mistakes I make, and showing you how I fix them. So I am coloring in the flames. I decided I did need that pop of yellow on each card. I love the pop of yellow in the background when we distress inked it. And so I think the little flames coming out of the rocket will do the same thing. I think it just adds a tiny little touch of color and it really adds to the overall design. So the purple background, I'm going to use some violet, blue violet, I think, colors. And yes, they're blue violet. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did for the blue rocket. This one, it definitely, I know it's called blue violet, but it kind of is a violet gray in my opinion. But we're just going to color this in. And then once we have that, we can kind of put it all together and add finishing details, which is always my favorite thing. There are some little tips and tricks for putting this together. And remember, you can make it a shaker if you wanted to. Very easily, this would be a super cute shaker. I, again, opted not to because I wanted the background to really be visible and I didn't want it to be covered up with shaker material. I'm really just using the acetate in this case as a layering piece where I could stamp my greeting. It doesn't always have to be a shaker. When I don't want to add a sentiment strip or I don't have a spot to stamp on the background, but I want my sentiment to be a part of the design in a more natural way, I love acetate as a layer. Whether you stamp in white or black, it really floats. I love the look of a floating sentiment. I guess that's how I should say that. So I'm going to take my elements. Let's go ahead and start with the purple card. Oh my gosh, you guys, I love it. And let's attach our frame to our acetate. And I'm going to make sure and use some nice, sticky, strong adhesive. We're going to use some red tape adhesive here. I don't want anything coming apart. And I'm just going to go around all 4 edges. That way the window lays nicely, avoiding all of those little cutouts, which I love all the little cutouts around the edge, the stars and everything. I think it just, again, adds to the look of this design. Now, my tip and trick for lining this up is to place it in a MISTI. Take your insert out of your MISTI and you can very easily, so I start to think I'm going to just line it up and the glitter cardstock is curving a little bit and I was really worried I wouldn't get it lined up, and that red line tape, there's really not a whole lot of room for a mistake. So I'm going to place it upside down on my MISTI, place the acetate on top, and then just press that down in place. Now, I did notice that my acetate, unfortunately, there was some quality control issues with the person who cut it, with the trimmer, that would be me. So I did have to cut away just a little bit. And then I'm going to take this wonderful foam tape from Simon Says Stamp. What I love about this foam tape is that the backing paper so easily comes off. And I know that seems like such a silly thing, but I have found a lot of foam adhesive, the backing is the pits to get off. Now I put some foam dots on the back of my rocket, and I'm using the window as a guide. I've not pulled off the backing paper yet, so I can attach that rocket to the background. And I want the rocket popped up. I think it will be much more showy if it is popped up as well. I'm also going to pop up the flame. Now the flame will hang off the edge of the card. A lot of it will be hidden back behind the frame. That's totally fine. So I am going to just snip that away, but I do need to avoid that when I place my foam around the bottom, which I haven't done yet. So I'm just double checking, and I'm just not going to put foam on the frame portion there along the bottom. I'm trying to avoid any of the little cutouts too, and I totally see I missed one. So I'm sure one of my little dots has white behind it. Funny what you see in the voiceover that you don't see when you're creating or taking the photo, but that's okay. It'll just look like a little white dot in the background. And I'm just piecing that foam together, and then I'm going to peel this off. You can place this in the MISTI again if you want and pop your background in place, whatever works best. But see how easily the foam tape comes off? I love it. My magnet got stuck to the back. That wasn't very handy. And there we go. I love how this looks. So pretty with that floating sentiment. So let's go ahead and put together the other one. I've done exactly the same thing, foam around the edges. Oops, I messed that up. I'm going to pop up the rocket. I'm going to pop up the flame and make sure everything is secure. For finishing details, I'm going to add a white heart to each card, of course, and then I'm going to add a scattering of silver star confetti right to the window area of this. And what I love is because we have the acetate, because the rocket is underneath the acetate, we're placing all of these pieces on top. So again, it's just a lot of great layering, and you end up with amazing results. Now, I created a little bit more of elegant style galaxy cards, I would say. I think these would work for anyone, but can you imagine using these same products and maybe going a little bit more bold and primary colors and doing these for kids? I think they would make amazing kid birthday cards. You could do all kinds of other greetings. It does not have to be birthday at all. There are other amazing stamp sets in this December 2022 Hero Arts release that you could use. Congratulations, you are out of this world. There's a hello greeting even in this Orbit stamp set, pardon me. So definitely lots of different ways to use these amazing products. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me today for another paper crafting tutorial. I love being able to share with this incredible community of crafters. I want to give a huge shout out and special thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you're interested in joining Patreon, please click the link in the description underneath the video here on YouTube. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do. There's exclusive content. You'll receive a handmade birthday card from me during your birthday month, monthly lives for my top tier patrons, and more. We would love to have you join our growing community. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, click the like button, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you're always notified when I have a video or go live. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you again next time.